Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, via Zoom, is
Sesame and Carta.
Sesame and Carta.
Yep.
We're sticking with this, huh?
We are.
Okay.
That's gonna be the name of my, sort of like Tame Impala type of rip-off band. It's gonna be called Sesame and Carta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When's your album come out?
What's that?
When's your album come out?
Probably like 5-10 years from now. But because I also gotta work on the Gator Smoke album, so I got 2 projects now I gotta do.
That's true.
Well, Gator Smoke's probably gonna come out first, though. I'm gonna do Gator Smoke first because that one felt inspired.
Or they could both come out at the same time, depending on what point in time you live and what multiverse you're in. And
yeah, I guess. And if there's variants of me who are also doing the same thing. I mean, I don't know. There might be a variant of me that's like a lawyer and doesn't like to listen to music at all. In fact, just hates music. You know,
could be like
who knows?
Could be like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos says he doesn't understand music.
He doesn't. Well, what's
He says he doesn't like music. He doesn't enjoy it. And he doesn't understand it. And it's not like, hey, I don't understand rap. I don't understand country. It's I don't understand all music.
Well, you know,
yeah.
He's like a robot, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I don't like this. Does not compute my math brain. I must calculate numbers.
He would memorize the call letters of local radio stations just so he could sound cool when he was talking to his friends.
Yeah, that's definitely something that he would do. Like if that's true, it's like just totally something that he would think that other people thought is cool.
Yeah. Even
though it's not. Like I knew a guy like that in like junior high. Like he would he would think like he was like ahead of the curve. And everyone else was stupid, but everyone else would just be shooting him looks like.
Yeah, but he would like memorize the number the call letters just so he could like join in on conversations when people are talking about music. So he'd be like, "Yeah, I heard that on WWJ the other day, you know, or whatever." So
it's like really sad, actually.
Yeah.
But where did you hear this from?
I was listening to a podcast about him the other day. So anyway,
that's just really bizarre. Yeah. But like I could totally see how he's trying to approximate. There seems to be a theme of like people like that who like become billionaires, and it's like you know him and like also like you know Mark Zuckerberg, you know Facebook dude, where it's like every aspect of like what makes a human being just all goes to like one part of their brain, and that's all. So like they're not like a person. So it's like you got musical talent or musical, you know, if you like music and art or whatever, all that stuff. It's like we got to go to this one part of the brain, and then just tells them just make as much money as possible for really no reason at all, just to do it for its own sake, and don't actually spend that money on anything that actually brings you joy in life, other than just making more money. And it's like that's why like I have a theory that's the reason why you ever notice that like they never really have any facial expressions. It's just like a still face almost. So it's just like I wonder about that, you know.
You know what else I wonder about?
I know, I'm just saying, what's that?
The fact that the world has rejected Peter Parker.
I don't like that.
No. So today on the show, we are covering Spider-Man: No Way Home. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Spider-Man, yes, Spider-Man.
Yes, Peter Spider-Man. And that was his name, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, anyways, in this movie, first off, I was going to ask you, Matt, what was your reaction to this film?
it was man, it was really deep, for like a superhero movie. I mean, they've all been getting progressively more, I guess, cinematic is the word. I don't know what word you would use, but like they really, ever since like they started the Avengers movies, each one has just had a little bit more depth to it, and they just keep building upon it. I mean, this one's like I say this one's even deeper than Endgame. I know Endgame was like the huge, conclusion to like a really long story arc, but I don't know. I just came out this one just a lot of like thoughts, like emotions, because like I can't I don't want to give anything away right away, but it's just I don't know. I really liked it, because it was very deep. It was like basically like I heard someone else say that this was like this entire film series is Peter's origin story, as opposed to like the other movies where like they've already kind of got past the origin story, and now we're seeing them.
Yeah, it's funny because when they started, everybody was like, "Oh, they're skipping the origin story," but this is actually
like this is the three movies now. He's finally sort of at the maturity level that like the Tobey Maguire ones and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies were, because they were kind of like, I don't know, already like maybe 18, 19. I think Andrew Garfield, he was already like 20s at the time.
No, they were actually all in high school when they started.
Oh, okay.
The actors weren't, but the
yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, my reaction to it is very similar. I think it's actually probably one of the best superhero films ever made. I'll probably say that until the next one comes out, and I'll be like blown away by that. But knowing the way my mind works, but this, I mean, it was definitely one of the best of the year. I mean, I think Shang-Chi was really good too, so it's kind of hard to say. But this was definitely better than Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi was an origin story, and it was kind of,
Yeah, I mean, it's the first, of its probably trilogy or 4 movies or however
many they decide to make, depending on how much money it's making. So here we go. I'm going to break down some of the plot here, Matt. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what we got here in this movie, and just warn you, everybody, we're spoiling everything. So it's going to be in the title of this, but still, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie, then come back and listen to us. Okay. So it starts out right where the last one ended, where it's after Quentin Beck framed Peter Parker for murder and publicly revealed his identity as Spider-Man. And so we got this whole like really cool opening, scene. It's really cool in 3D. If you see it in 3D. It's cool otherwise too, I'm sure. But we got them swinging through the town, MJ and Peter. They get back to Aunt May's house, and so basically, what ends up happening then is the Department of Damage Control, which is an organization that was basically created to clean up things like after superheroes destroy things. But now somehow they are also in charge of interrogating people after things like this happen. Yeah.
It makes sense, kind of.
Yeah, so Ned Leeds, MJ, Aunt May, and Peter are all interrogated by them. At one point, Ned basically starts spilling everything.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But they all end up getting their charges dropped with the help of a special lawyer. Who was that lawyer, Matt?
That was Daredevil.
Matt Murdock. Yes,
the same actor from the series, the Marvel
Netflix
series,
the Netflix television series. Yes.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty cool cameo. So they so MJ and Ned and Peter all apply to MIT, and because of what's going on, they're all rejected, and as well as rejected to like every other school they apply to.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with their grades, just because of they want to be associated with the controversy.
Because they're all smart kids, so
Yeah, really advanced students or whatever you call it.
And so this puts Peter down in the dumps, basically. So he goes to visit his fellow Avenger, Stephen Strange, at the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Sanctorum, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I spoke too fast. I do at times. I speak fast. I'm like the Flash. But anyways, so he basically comes to him with his problem. Another interesting thing that we learn while we're there, first off, is that Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
Because he was blipped for 5 years, Wong took over by default.
I mean, I never really thought about. I mean, I guess I just assumed that he would have been blipped too, but there's really no proof that happened. So
yeah,
for 5 straight years, I mean, that's probably longer than however long Doctor Strange was actually.
Probably, or at least close
he was
to
only for like 2 years. Yeah.
So he comes to Strange for help, and Strange suggests that he does a spell that would make people forget Parker is Superman. I mean, Spider-Man. I can't talk today, Matt.
Well, we are talking about like jumping through realities and stuff, so maybe
they are going to forget that he's Superman.
Maybe there is a reality.
Spider-Man, but
maybe there's a reality where Superman's a Marvel character, and that Peter Parker is that guy. You don't know. Well, at first he wanted to do like a time travel thing, didn't he? Or
he asked him to do a time travel thing where he could go back in time where Quentin Beck would not let people know that Peter Parker is Superman or Spider-Man. Why do I keep saying Superman?
Wow, that's gonna be a new one. Just do a T-shirt. Peter Parker is Superman.
I'm going to. Yes.
And have like a cape where it looks like it's either have him look like Superman in a Spider-Man costume, or have a Spider-Man in a Superman costume, or something that's like a combination.
I'll figure this out. It'll be up there eventually. Check out our TeePublic, folks. Keep an eye on it. So he basically wanted people to forget that he was Spider-Man, and so they ended up coming up with this spell that will do that, which Wong basically warns against, and then he takes off in one of his little portal thingies.
The suitcase. Where is he going? He's got suitcases. He's,
who knows? He goes a lot of places. I mean, he showed up in Shang-Chi fighting the Abomination, so it's like,
It's like, he like recruiting people for something, or like, I have no idea what he's.
We'll probably find out in Multiverse of Madness. So,
maybe, okay.
So we've got we've got the Strange is going to cast this spell, but Peter is freaking out. He's like, well, what about my Aunt May? What about MJ? What about Ned? And Happy and everybody else, why, I want them to remember who I am. And then he basically fucks up the spell while it's going on. And so Strange manages to contain the spell, and Parker and basically says, get the fuck out of my place, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Peter finds out that through Flash, not the Flash, but Flash Thompson,
Well,
that
he did write a book called Flashpoint,
which is hilarious, because if you think about the whole idea of Flashpoint, it's all about creating a different timeline.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting nod to a DC character.
Which is funny, because I do know that the Flash movie that's coming out is going to be kind of similar to this in concept, because they're going to have, Michael Keaton's Batman in it and other things. So
right, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
He finds out through Flash about this woman who's the MIT administrator. He finds out that she's on her way to the airport, so he does this Spider-Man stuff and figures out where she is. She's on the highway. He's trying to convince her to let MJ and Ned in, Doesn't really care about himself. He just wants them to get into MIT,
Yeah.
Because he's a selfless guy.
He's a nice dude, yeah. He's just cares about his friends.
And he's wearing a whole wrinkly suit. And you know why he's got a wrinkly suit, Matt?
No.
Because he no longer has an iron, man.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I don't like that. I don't like that. That makes me really sad. I still haven't gotten over. I still watched that freaking Tony Stark tribute video that came out like 2 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
And I still get like crying through it when they go through like his origin story and everything. God, Iron Man was such a cool character.
So, anyways, suddenly while he's there talking to the lady, Otto Octavius shows up.
What? That's impossible.
As in, and it's not, a new Otto Octavius. It is Otto Octavius from Spider-Man 2, starring Tobey Maguire. And
which is weird because he had died, supposedly.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Which is interesting, because it's not a variant. It's not. It's the actual character from the Tobey Maguire. Yeah, not a. Which is interesting to me, because did I just say interesting me? Okay, wow. Which is interesting to me is, didn't he die at the end of Spider-Man 2? I don't remember. It's been such a long time since I.
Yeah, he did. But that's where we get into things later.
So he pretty much came from a point in time before he had actually. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is he gets in a big fight with Iron Man, not Iron Man, the Iron Spider suit. Yeah, Peter Parker is every superhero, man.
He's Iron Man. He's Superman. What else do we got thrown?
He's the Human Torch. He's Batman. He's the Flash. He's Arrow. He's He's Batwoman. He's everybody.
He's everybody.
Yeah.
Peter Parker is like a Nexus being, who all the other superheroes like coalesce into him as like a kid. Then that's how they rejuvenate themselves. Then they come back out and they do their thing or whatever.
He's even randomly Jimmy Olsen. It's just weird, But anyway, so the oh God, I need help, Matt. So we've got him fighting Doc Ock, and at one point, Octavius rips Peter's nanotechnology from his Iron Spider suit, which bonds with his mechanical tentacles. And then that ends up allowing Parker to control them and disable them. That
was cool.
The MIT lady's like hanging off of the bridge in her car. She's stuck in it. He ends up saving her. In a very similar way to what Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man saved people on a bridge in his movies. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. So we've got, and of course, Octavius is like, you're not Peter, you're not the Peter I know, you look different.
Yeah, exactly. You're not my Peter. What, he's like just as confused as,
And if I learned anything, you shouldn't play with other people's Peters. So, oh wait.
No. Probably not, no.
Not without permission.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you need consent. Anyway, so
pretty basic importance. Yeah.
Yes.
Like very beginning, low level. Like.
Sorry, it was right there. I had to do it. Anyway, so
they already do that with the whole Peter Tingle thing or whatever.
I know. So. Peter Tingle. So then, during this fight, Norman Osborn appears. So,
AKA the Green Goblin.
Yeah. From the Tobey Maguire movies as well.
So we got two villains from the Tobey Maguire movies. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Just saying.
Yeah. So we have Strange ends up capturing Doc Ock and places him in a holding cell in the sanctum alongside Kirk Connors, a.k.a. the Lizard.
Huh.
From the Andrew Garfield movies.
Yeah. Huh. That's very interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Strange then explains to Peter that the spell has summoned people from other parts of the multiverse who in their universe know that Parker is Spider-Man in their world. So Strange then orders Parker to get Ned and MJ to help him to find the, remaining people. They all come there, and, he wants them to Scooby-Doo this shit.
MJ tells him to say please.
Yes. It's another magical word.
It's like, fine, please, Scooby-Doo this shit.
Yes. So then, Parker then ends up locating and captures both Max Dillon, a.k.a. Electro, from the Garfield films.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Garfield movies like with Bill Murray or anything. I'm talking about the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Just making sure that was understood.
Yeah. The fellow from the Social Network movie.
Yeah.
The Facebook movie.
Yeah.
We don't have Mark Zuckerberg as a villain in this movie. So
no,
there's no like Zuckerberg beast or monster or robot or whatever.
He's more of a. Him and Bezos are more of a Lex Luthor type of guy. Yeah,
exactly.
Or a Maxwell Lord sort of guy or something. So
who's the other villain that shows up after Electro?
So we've got Flint Marko, a.k.a. Sandman.
Huh. So that's 3 villains from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. 1 for each of the 3 movies that came out. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And 2 from the 2 Andrew Garfield movies that came out.
Huh. That is very Very intriguing.
So we have 5 villains.
I have 5. We have 5 villains, but so far there's none of this Peter Parker, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if the 6th villain will show up or not. We'll see. There won't be, but
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there is, Matt.
It's good. I was saying I was. We'll talk about that later, I think, but I do think it's interesting that he didn't get his own villain. If that might be symbolic of something else.
I also think it was weird that they had 5 villains as opposed to 6, so they could call them the Sinister Six.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, the Sinister Six is a group of. It changes who the members are, but it's Spider-Man group of baddies. It's like the It's kind of like the mini Avengers of bad guys or something, you know what I mean? So,
okay,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
maybe. And he usually has like Green Goblin and the Lizard and other people in it. So yeah, yep. So
that is interesting. We got 5 villains from different universes show up, and he's got to contain them all now.
Yeah. So, while this is happening, Norman Osborn has reclaimed control of himself from his split green Gerblin.
Yeah, it's green Gerberlin. It's like a Gerber bat baby food. It's
his Green Goblin personality. And he ends up at this feast building, which is the organization that Aunt May works for. There's also like a very interesting kind of callback to the Spider-Man movie where and in the comic books where, Spider-Man No More, where he wants to, leaves his suit in a garbage can. This, we have it by a dumpster. We have the Green Goblin mask being destroyed by a dumpster, which is very similar to that, Anyways, so Osborn ends up at this feast place, where he's treated for his injuries by May before Peter comes and retrieves him. And basically, he ends up putting him in one of the cages, for lack of a better word.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah.
They're containment facilities, I guess. In Doctor Strange's laundry room, no less.
Yes.
Because, you got to think, just because they're magicians doesn't mean that they don't have to shower and wash their clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah, at one point,
although you would think,
one point down there, they even find a goatee guard.
Yeah, that's right.
So he can make his goatee look great.
Yeah.
Which you think you would just use magic for, but whatever.
For cleaning themselves and food, you think that they'd be able to do magic with that, but yeah.
Exactly.
It's the limitations to it, so.
So, before that, anyways, way before all this happened, we did have a situation where Peter and Aunt May are now staying at Happy Hogan's place because of better security.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, and things did jump like 6 months in advance, too, so, from the beginning of the movie. I forgot to mention that earlier, too, so I'm sorry.
Wait, what? It's 6 months later?
Yeah, it's pretty much it's at least a few months later. I can't remember how much later. I think about 6 months. Basically, what it is because they had like they go back and start school again.
Oh, so like
yeah.
So he didn't ask to do the spell until like 3 months after everyone. Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like right afterwards. Okay.
I don't know if it was 6 months. It was probably about 3 months later or something. I don't know, but it was a little time later. Okay. It's not really mentioned in the movie, but you can kind of tell by the way things play out. and plus we were in like the summertime before, and by the end of the movie we're at Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we have all these guys in the containment units in the laundry room. And the laundry room where they also have, this other shit going on down there in the basement where an episode of The Equalizer was filmed there in the 80s.
Yeah. It's just weird. It's like, okay.
Basically, what ends up happening here is that the guys are all sitting there discussing all their battles with Spider-Man. The captured villains realize that some of them were pulled from the universe just before they were going to die. Strange prepares a spell contained within a box that will send the villains back to their respective universes to meet their fates. But Peter argues that they should first cure their powers and insanity that some of them have, hoping that doing so would prevent their deaths upon their return. Because he doesn't want them all to die. Because he's, a good kid. Peter Parker ends up stealing the box spell after a brief fight in the mirror dimension.
What?
Yeah. Where he ends up trapping Strange for quite a while.
Through mathematics. The power of math, man.
Yes.
See? Math beat magic, man.
Magic Man.
Magic Man. Magic Man. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. I love that keyboard sound. Sorry, good song. Good good album. Listen to it. Heart. What's the name? Dreamboat Annie by Heart. Check it out. It's a great album. You gotta make sure you listen to the whole album through. Don't skip any songs. Listen to all 38 minutes. Thank me later.
You can stop now and then come back and listen to this podcast if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Or listen to it after the podcast. It'd probably be more.
Yeah, you don't gotta do it right now.
Anyways, so the we have a situation here now where Peter takes all of the dudes, all the bad dudes,
the bad dudes,
to Happy Hogan's apartment, where he ends up curing Octavius with some technology from Stark Industries. But while he's developing cures for Dylan and Osborn, the Goblin persona ends up taking control of Osborn. And the uncured villains betray Parker. And then Dylan, Marco, and Connors all escape. And while this happens, during this big fight, Osborn kills Aunt May.
Yep, because he's a terrible person.
Yes. That was sad.
Mm-hmm.
And right before she dies, she gives the famous line usually uttered by Uncle Ben. With great power.
Yeah.
Also comes great responsibility. Yes.
And I bet you the anti-woke fans are going to be so pissed off about that. Oh, they gave it to a woman. See? You see? They're taking over films, man. I guarantee it. I'm not even joking. I bet you Ben Shapiro is going to mention something like that. they gave Uncle Ben's line to Aunt May. It's like, well, yeah, because Uncle Ben has been dead in this entire franchise. Like, I mean,
yeah, I don't even know. Did they ever mention Uncle Ben?
I don't know, actually. Yeah, so it'd be weird if like some random dude that shows up, like, hey, gay kid,
my thing is like, I don't know if she was ever married. She might not have been.
Yeah, maybe there was no actual Uncle Ben in this
timeline. Yeah.
So she tried to give him the cure, and I guess it didn't work. For some reason, not sure why. And then maybe there is no cure. Well, no, there is, but I don't know. Maybe because they come from different universes. Maybe the chemicals.
I think a lot of it had to do with. I think things got broken too and stuff, so it didn't end up happening. Yeah. So
yeah, he threw one of his famous green bombs, and I guess it, exploded and shot some glass into her or whatever type thing. Personally, when it comes to the later story, I wouldn't have cured him. I just would have maybe not let Peter kill him. Maybe let the other Peter just drown him or something. At the very least. I mean, I know he's a good guy, but like, that's the thing is like sometimes, unfortunately, you have to be bad in order to defeat evil. I know it's uncomfortable thought that people don't want to face necessarily, but like...
Yeah, but there's a difference between like the Punisher and Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, then again, the Punisher gets shit done, but so you can make an argument about efficiency versus morality and all that stuff. But morality seems to kind of get...
he just kills people and then lets God sort them out. And
yeah.
So, do you want to take a quick break here, Matt, and then we'll talk about the rest of the plot?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
Hi, this is Catherine, host of a new fashion podcast, The Real Fashion School Dropout. Join me as I interview guests every week in the fashion and beauty space, and we gossip on all things fashion and beauty, and even get into some personal stories of their journey in the industry. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Hope to see you there.
And we are back. So what we got going on here now in the film here, Matt, we've got it where Ned had stolen a ring thing from Doctor Strange.
You know, the ring thing.
You know, the ring thing.
That thing.
That's the technical term for it, right?
Yeah.
He learns how to open portals using Strange's it's a sling ring.
Yeah, that's right.
Which he and MJ used to try to locate Peter. Instead, they find two other versions of Peter Parker who were summoned by Strange's spell, dubbed Peter 2 and Peter 3.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Even though Tobey Maguire is the original Peter.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. He's OG Peter Parker. Man.
Yeah. But Peter's Peter 1, you know. So
I know. the very first Spider-Man from that franchise, was that 2001 or 2002 when that came out?
I don't remember now.
I think it could have been 2000 actually.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. It was about 20 years ago, regardless.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we've got they bring the Spider-Men with them, and they figure out that that their Peter is, on top of a building thinking about things, near home at the school. And all the men share their own stories of losing loved ones, like Uncle Ben and Gwen Stacy, and encourage him to fight in May's honor for what happened to her. The Spider-Men develop cures for the remaining villains, and they lure Dylan, Marco, and Connors to the Statue of Liberty, which is under construction right now because they're adding a Captain America shield to the Statue of Liberty for some fucking reason.
Because it's America. It's Captain America,
Yeah. I mean, we already got Rogers the musical, so we might as well.
They're upset, which is weird, they're obsessed with Captain America, Rogers, even though Tony Stark was the one that actually caused everyone to come back to life, which is interesting. You don't see a Iron Man musical, but it could be because of the whole, nature of patriotism. Like, he's Captain America,
exactly.
Type of thing. Even though he actually isn't the one that brought everyone back, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've got it where they're Peter 2 and our Peter cure Marco and Connors respectively, not respectfully.
And
so
Dr. Ock still cured. So
yeah, Doc Ock he shows up and he helps all the Parkers cure Dylan, who ends up reconciling with Andrew Garfield's Peter. Then Octavius and Tobey Maguire's Peter reconnect. Ned accidentally frees Strange from the mirror dimension. So then Osborn arrives and he destroys the box spell, rupturing the barrier separating the universe. While Strange tries to maintain the barrier, an enraged Peter almost kills Osborn before Tobey Maguire's Peter convinces him to stand down. There was also a point there where Andrew Garfield's Peter saves MJ.
Yeah.
Which basically got to him because it was something that he wasn't able to do with Gwen. So,
Yeah, that was his little gift or whatever.
Yeah. So it was kind of like almost like he was making up for the fact that he couldn't save Gwen.
Yeah. So everyone else but our Peter got any kind of redeeming gift, basically, because OG Peter got to stop, his murder, the murderer from, let the murderer go free and have a great life. Anyway, so he didn't allow, Peter to finish him after he.
Yeah, well, they cured him, and now he's a good dude.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that he didn't get anything out of it, like the the other, because the other two got like their like redeeming moment or whatever.
But it's
not
also
redeeming. They're like whatever their word is.
And the thing with Osborn though too, I know you would probably say, oh, I would just kill him. But the thing is, it's also like it's kind of the idea of rehabilitation or prison or it's kind of like a metaphor for that in a way, or like the death penalty. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like if
I do get that, but at the same time, I feel like
all I'm getting at is we need prison reform. Anyway, so
yeah, well, he should definitely be in prison somewhere for that.
Yeah.
Not just given a new chance at life to do whatever, type of thing. Because,
So,
our heroes gotta be good, even to the bad people, and the bad people get to whatever. Yeah.
So,
sorry, that was you might heard like a bump or something. That was me just moving around really quick.
Oh, you weren't killing anybody, were you?
No, of course not. I mean, there's no one here. I mean,
just making sure that you weren't like killing Norman Osborn or anything.
Well, he's not a real person. I mean,
are you sure? I thought maybe I don't know. I thought maybe you invited Willem Dafoe over and you were killing him.
Well, but he's the actor who played. I mean, it's not like he is as far as I know, he's not the Green Goblin.
Good.
Maybe, but well, he definitely has the personality that he could be the Green Goblin if the Green Goblin was in fact an existing person in this world. But since he's not, he just has the characteristics that could, become part of that persona, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
If anything makes any sense, because now we live in a multiverse world where nothing makes sense, and then that somehow nothing makes sense. Does that make sense?
No.
And no, yes. I don't think so. Yeah,
and yes at the same time.
And yes, yeah.
So basically what ends up happening is to save things in the end. So everybody, all the people from the different universes went back to their respective places after some Peter on Peter hugging. And so then our Peter has to say goodbye to MJ and Ned because he basically ends up deciding to do what he should have done in the first place.
So everything was all for naught. You got your aunt killed for nothing. You fucking idiot, moron. Like, you almost deserve everything that happens to you now for being that stupid. But here's the thing. Here's the whole thing. This whole movie could have been solved instantly. Here's what it was. Before he asked if anything could be done, he'd be like, all right, here's the list of people I want to know who I am, and everyone else can forget about me. That right there. Write it down, piece of paper. Boom. Tell them, okay, before you start the spell, not during, not in the middle of it, before, okay, think of these five people at the most? I'm pretty sure Doctor Strange would be able to keep, 5 people in mind while he's doing his spell. Like, all right, everyone except for these 5 people. It's not like Peter's like, oh, well, I want my third cousin 5 times 1,000 removed, like, it's like a list of like 5 or 6 people. It's fine. Like, or maybe Nick Fury. So probably like 10 people that really need to know who he is.
All the Avengers.
Yeah, so pretty much like, and then like everyone else can be filled in after, because they're used to like weird shit happening. So like Nick Fury and them can like oh.
See, the problem with it all is the fact that you have Stephen Strange and Peter Parker, who are both impulsive people for different reasons.
Yeah,
and neither one of them sat down really after they were at the fireplace talking at the beginning and thought, hey, let's draw out a plan here and figure out what we're going to do before we start casting spells.
Exactly. Like, Ron is like, hey, don't do that spell. And he's like, oh, it's fine. When has this ever hurt us before? It's like, on multiple occasions. I mean,
yeah,
you kind of fucked things up in the first place that messed up your own movie. So, like, you should have learned that lesson, your own lesson right there from that movie. But instead, you're like, oh no, I forgot it a few years later. Now I'm going to, just because this kid is having a hard time with people knowing who he is. Again, he could have, that's my whole thing about this. So, like, Doctor Strange made everyone else forget about that party that they had except for himself. So he knew how to do a spell to include at least one person who wouldn't forget what happened. So what's 5 people? But Peter keeps adding names to the mix as he's doing the spell. So he's like gotta concentrate on adding Ned and MJ or whatever, and then that's what makes him just abandon the spell and just put it into that box in the first place. So yeah, should have brought that down. That's plan A. Plan B, if it didn't work out, fine. So but I didn't understand this. So my whole thing was, all right, everyone needs to forget I'm Spider-Man, and then, but we'll find each other again like we did the first time or whatever. Okay, this is a really simple way to do that. Take out your phone, piece of paper, whatever, write down the whole story that just happened. Say, never going to believe this, blah, blah, blah. Even take a picture with each other, save it somewhere where it won't ever leave. Whatever. The physical evidence, you know what I mean? Because he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything change reality itself. He just said.
But the problem with it is that the way the spell works at the end there is that people will remember events happening, but they won't remember Peter, even if they see pictures of him. They won't remember their past with Peter in any way. It'll basically be wiped. They could have like a picture on their phone of them with Peter in Europe or whatever. But when they look at it, they're not going to see Peter in the picture. It physically exists, but because of Strange's spell, they don't see it.
Okay. So that they see a piece of paper, though, saying, like, hey,
No, even the piece of paper, anything that has any trace of Peter and the knowledge of him being their friend or anything of his existence is gone.
So it's basically convenience magic and convenience.
Yes, I'm just saying that's the way it works. I watched a few videos on the explanation behind this, and that's how it works.
Yeah. Okay. It's convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a comic book movie. This is a movie where a dude got bit by a spider and has superpowers. So
yeah, but it's beyond that now. This whole genre has changed since the early days. It's a full-fledged.
Yeah.
They got romance on it. They've got other kind of like relationship issues.
Well, yeah.
They've got stuff like dealing with like depression and like abuse. All kinds of stuff like that now in these movies, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's good that we've got different genres. We got different stories to tell and everything, and it's not just comic book movies.
Yeah.
There's you can have a comic book comedy, you can have a comic book action movie, you can have a comic book romance, you can have whatever. So later on, after the spell is cast and everyone in the universe knows of Spider-Man but doesn't know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker or knows who Peter Parker is or whatever the fuck it is. Later, Peter attempts to reintroduce himself to MJ and Ned, but basically finds himself unable to do so after seeing a Band-Aid on her forehead because he realizes that she could get hurt again. And he wants to keep them safe. And so then he goes to May's grave, and he has a conversation with an unaware Happy Hogan. And then he is inspired to carry on without his real identity by making a new suit and resuming his superhero duties. Okay, and then we've got a mid-credits scene where Eddie Brock, aka, the character from the Venom movies, which I have yet to see, so I don't really know, but and his symbiote, Venom, decide to find Spider-Man after, I guess at the end of the last Venom movie, they were sent to our universe, to the MCU universe.
Oh, so Venom isn't part of the MCU then?
No, basically what it was is at the end of that movie, he was randomly sent to the MCU.
Oh, okay.
And woke up at this resort, and then so what we see is him talking to this bartender who's basically explaining all the stuff that the Avengers have done to him.
Oh god.
And the reason that he's able to be sent there is because he's connected to Venom, and Venom is connected to all symbiotes in all multiverses. So the fact that the Eddie Brock, played by Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3, knew who Spider-Man was, brought him to this universe as well.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, there's a chance it probably brought the Topher Grace
jeez.
as well, but we just never saw him, And
is Venom like a villain of Spider-Man, or is he just like...
Venom is an anti-hero in the Spider-Man universe, but he's also, like, in Spider-Man 3, he was a villain.
Okay.
But it's, he becomes good and bad throughout the history of the comic books, so it's hard to say, So,
okay. So I wonder what his interest in Spider-Man is all of a sudden.
Yeah. But anyways, he's got this interest in Spider-Man, but he also, he's about to go find him, but then he gets, basically blipped back to his own universe. And, but part of his symbiote is left on the counter of that bar.
Oh, that's right.
So, we'll see what happens in the MCU with that, because now that's left behind in the MCU.
So, it'll be a different Venom, probably,
yeah,
then.
We'll probably have somebody else introduced as Venom or something.
Okay.
Or it could be Eddie Brock again, just a different Eddie Brock. Who knows what happens, We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. With all the, with all the, rights issues between Sony and Marvel and everything being weird, it's hard to say,
So Sony basically owns, almost everything with Spider-Man, because Venom was,
and his universe, like the Morbius movie's coming out soon, and Morbius is part of the Spider-Man universe, so that's part of Sony.
Okay.
And the Venom movies are part of the Sony as well, and are owned by Sony. And then there's different, a lot of the Rogues Gallery and other characters within Spider-Man can be made into movies by Sony with no worries.
Okay.
So they could decide to make a Sandman movie, for example, or a Rhino movie, or an Electro movie, or whatever if they wanted to. So yeah, we got that. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious though. I liked the banter between the three Spider-Men.
Yeah.
We had the one point where they're talking, and he's like, I was a member of the Avengers, and he's like, was that a band?
Right, they have no idea.
Yeah, they have no idea. He's like, you don't have the Avengers, and then he's like talking about how, and then Tobey Maguire talks about how he fought an alien creature, and then Tom Holland says, "Yeah, I fought an alien creature in space," and then Andrew Garfield is like, "Yeah, I fought some Russian dude in a rhinoceros-looking machine." Just.
Wow.
Oh boy. Yeah. So it's pretty funny. Do you want to take another quick break here, Matt, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some trivia and stuff about the movie if you'd like to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We'll be right back.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
Hi, this is Catherine, host of a new fashion podcast, The Real Fashion School Dropout. Join me as I interview guests every week in the fashion and beauty space, and we gossip on all things fashion and beauty, and even get into some personal stories of their journey in the industry. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Hope to see you there.
And we are back. Okay, so here's some quick trivia here, Matt, about this movie before we wrap things up here. So, Benedict Cumberbatch has admitted to not reading the full script, wanting to surprise himself with the final product.
Nice.
Willem Dafoe would only reprise his role as the Green Goblin on the condition that he still be allowed to perform the majority of his own stunts like he did in 2002 Spider-Man movie.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's almost 20 years later, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like in his 60s, so...
Like, yeah, you're not a spring chicken anymore, man.
Jamie Foxx and Willem Dafoe were very excited to play their respective villains again. Foxx, in particular, was pleased that he wasn't going to be blue this time. Alfred Molina, meanwhile, joked that he was only in it for the paycheck before confirming that he liked the story a lot before signing on. He was joking, so, yeah. For his appearance in the film, Alfred Molina was digitally de-aged to make him appear as he had in Spider-Man 2, and his mechanical tentacles were created through CGI rather than through puppetry like in the first film. When Strange smacks Peter's astral form out of his body, you see that Peter's head has transparent versions of the classic wavy spider sense lines that appear in the comic books. Sam Raimi was very happy to see Doc Octopus in the film's first trailer, praising that the character's appearance and tentacle animation, while also expressing excitement to see the full film. The film marks and Sam Raimi, by the way, is directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So,
nice.
So, this film marks the first MCU trilogy to be directed by the same director. John Watts directed all of the films in this franchise. Like the original Spider-Man movie, Willem Dafoe once again wore prosthetic teeth as Norman Osborn, as his real teeth were shown for the Green Goblin persona. So, yeah. Willem Dafoe went to the premiere for this wearing a green face mask. Tom Holland helped to save this movie from cancellation by forcing renegotiations between Sony and Disney. Under the terms of the new deal, not only does Spider-Man No Way Home still take place within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but Spider-Man can also appear in future MCU movies, as well as Sony's own Spider-Man franchise. So we'll see what happens with the future of Spider-Man. It's going to be interesting. This is the 10th time that Jon Favreau has appeared in an MCU film.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The Green Goblin mockingly delivers a speech to Peter about the nature of choice, much like he did to Peter Parker of his own universe in Spider-Man. He also warns Peter no good deed goes unpunished, which is essentially the message of his "in spite of everything you've done" lecture in his universe's Spidey. Tom Holland filmed the movie Uncharted before this movie. However, this movie was released first. So yeah, there's a lot of other trivia here that we could go through. But basically, Matt, what are your final thoughts here on this film?
It's a very dark MCU film. It's very at least from just watching it the first time, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's very deep. It's not like let's say the first Avengers film, like where like there's some humor in this movie, but like you could even argue that maybe there's even more banter in this movie than there are other ones, but there's still like almost like a dark cloud hanging over the whole, because you know what's at stake. I mean, like, you got the multiverse cracking open, and Doctor Strange is just like frantically trying to keep it closed, and then you got Peter having to make this terrible decision to just go ahead with the original idea even after losing everything, which could have just done that in the beginning, or just let people know who he is for like a couple of years until they just get used to it. Then again, no, that's the whole thing. He's like 18 years old in the movie. He doesn't really think long term, probably. So he's not thinking like 10 years from now when I'm 28 years old, probably no one's going to care that I'm Spider-Man anymore. You know what I mean? But like when you're 18, you don't really think about what 28 is going to be like. You know what I mean? Like, and so pretty much we're seeing like an actual movie of like a child, coming to grips with being a superhero, as opposed to like Iron Man, who was probably in his mid 30s at the time when he finally started the hero gig. The same thing with Doctor Strange. She was probably like around the same age. So it's like people who have already have lived lives, plus they had a lot of resources to begin with and things like that. Doctor Strange was a very prominent surgeon, probably very rich. Tony Stark, obviously, insanely wealthy because of his father built his empire and he continued it. So with Spider-Man, with Peter, you just got a kid, who lives with his aunt, like a pretty much just decent sized apartment, but nothing really, fantastic. Fantastic Four coming out soon, by the way. Anyway,
directed by the same director as this film.
Oh, so, but yeah, I would just, I would say, if you're going to see this movie, really pay attention to it, because it's not even for a superhero film, it's not something that you could just sort of.
I really hope nobody's still listening to this that hasn't seen the movie. So,
well, whatever. I just mean, yeah. Like to think of it as a serious movie that happens to also be. That's what I'm trying to say. This felt like a movie. This felt like a drama disguised as a superhero movie. That's what it felt like.
Well, I mean, it basically was.
Feel like a super. Yeah.
I will say, I mean, my main takeaway with this is that I think it was a good. It was a good ending for Tobey and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man characters as well. Because I think both those movie franchises didn't really end on a good note.
No, they really did. I mean, Spider-Man 3 with Tobey was kind of not that great. Andrew didn't get a third. So technically, Andrew now has a third Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. And I will tell you this. I think this and seeing Tick, Tick, Boom recently has solidified my love for Andrew Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a little bit of a man crush on this guy. He is such a good actor.
Marush?
Yeah, I'm Marush. Yeah. He's so good, and in this movie specifically too, he's basically bringing forward a lot of emotion that I think helps the interaction between the three Spider-Men. It's interesting. I mean, and I don't know. It's just so cool. And if you haven't seen Tick, Tick, Boom, watch it. Quite possibly the best film of the year. Just saying. Yeah. If you're listening to this, right when you're done, go watch Tick, Tick, Boom. It's on Netflix. You know, you can watch it there. But anyways, I don't know. That's my final thoughts on this. I really am interested to see where they're going to take Spider-Man after this too, and see where we land and everything. It'll be interesting to see where we see him again.
Because who knows? Maybe he'll eventually, start from scratch. And to really think about it too, I mean, it might not. I know it seems like a downer, really, because he's just by himself now. He's got pretty much no friends or family, and he's only 18 years old. So it's that really does seem like a bummer. Well, it doesn't seem like it is a bummer.
Yeah.
And he pretty much lives in the same type of shitty apartment that Tobey Maguire's character did, and OG Spider-Man, from early 2000s. So maybe it'll take a few months, or even, if he decides to ever just, because I don't know if he's gonna keep to that prom. I mean, he's like you said, he's pretty impulsive, so he makes decisions on the fly. So who knows if he'll change his mind within 6 months? Or
I think eventually MJ and Ned will be part of his life again.
Right. Because think about it too. I mean, I know, again, see, a lot of this, I think, is the perspective of age. So, they've only known each other for probably 2 years. And I know, as you get older, 2 years really means nothing. For example, the pandemic's been around for 2 years almost at this. Well, yeah, it has been. And that doesn't really seem that long of a time. But when you're 16 to 18 years old, 2 years does feel like a long time, which, again, I think kind of plays into the impulsivity of his actions, where it's dude, it doesn't matter. In 5, people's attention spans are so short these days. I bet you within a year, people would, maybe not even a year, maybe 6 months, people would just not even be interested anymore about the fact that he's Spider-Man. They would have moved on to something else, maybe a year tops, and then there would be some new threat or whatever, But when you're that age, you're not really thinking of in those terms. You're not even thinking of 2-3 years ahead of you, let alone 5 or 10. And you think, okay, well, I'm still in my 20s. I've got my whole life ahead of me. Who cares? Everyone's pretty much just, they've been unfazed by the fact that they know I'm Spider-Man. But so it's if they've only known each other, roundabout ways, what I'm saying is they've only had 2 years of friendship to lose versus they can have a whole lifetime of friendship they gain afterwards.
Yeah,
so that
and hopefully they do.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to see. Yeah, I just can't wait to see where they go with this. If they bring Miles Morales in eventually, or different things, we'll see what happens.
Be really sweet.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of interesting where Jamie Foxx said to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man at one point when he took the mask off, he's like, when he found out who he was originally, he's like, yeah, I was, you're from Queens and everything. I was hoping you were a black guy.
I thought you'd be black.
Yeah.
He's basically saying because he, cares about the underclass and the poor, because he, thought he's one of his own people or whatever. Which is interesting about that though. Electro was. Because I thought in the Andrew Garfield movies, he didn't actually know Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't understand where that came from, but we'll see what happens. I mean,
is he a variant? Is he not even from?
Because that's the thing is because he looks different. He doesn't have the comb over, and he doesn't look like a dork.
Right, he's not blue, which is, oh my god, what a terrible graphics that were. I mean, I love the fact. I love his yellow lightning in this. I'm like, okay, that's how he should have looked the whole time.
Anyways,
so yeah,
I think we should just wrap things up here, Matt. I think if anybody has any thoughts about this, please let us know. Send me a message at mike@cullenpark.com. Also, go to our Facebook page. You can check all of our links are at all2real2.com. Let us know what you thought about the movie, because it'd be really interesting to see what other people thought of it, and what you think the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be, or the Spider-Man universe as well. Check out our TeePublic, check out our Patreon, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, or wherever you can. Wear a spider mask. Get your shots.
Wear a spider condom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wear a spider condom. And until next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.